All right, everybody, welcome back to another match. This is actually the final match of the league. It was an 8-person league, and now I've played against all 7 opponents. This is Chaos of Slayer. I played against them in a casual match just to test my deck before the league started, and they were on Blue-Black Moonshadow Stifle Knot, featuring a card called Likeness Looter, which I hadn't played before. I don't know if that's what they chose to play in the league. I've tried to avoid spoilers as much as I could. But yeah, this hand is totally reasonable. It has 2 lands. I lost the die roll. I don't know if you saw. Let's get into it. Yeah, I checked my record as well, and I'm currently 3-3. So this will determine whether I'm positive or negative in my 7-match sample size. I don't really care too much about the results. I'm just excited to play and test my deck and see what other people are up to. So it looks like he is on a blue-black deck of some variety. Snapcaster Mage, totally reasonable. I cannot remember if he played Wasteland, but either way, well, I could very much get Island here. It delays him by a turn, but I think that's kind of important for this Ponder, given the average mana value of my hand is 100. Okay. Cutter's not bad, Brainstorm's not bad. I don't really want the Sanctuary, but I'll shuffle before I get there. I have a Plow for his first threat. Hopefully the hymn can come online between maybe like Scrubland, Badlands, or Underground Sea or something. Overlord. Wow, nice. This card is just very strong. When this card was printed, I wasn't really following the game too much, but I'm like, seriously, all that value for 2 mana? Like, that's pretty freaking crazy. To, mill yourself, cantrip, get a thing back. So he chose to get back the Moonshadow, so we can expect to see that next turn. This will eventually impend. Luckily, Plow is very good against it, but there's no way of beating it without getting 2 for 1. Just gonna keep deploying my lands and pass. There's some temptation to fetch now because I know he has a Stifle deck. It's like fetch now and get wasted. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. So this is kind of the best of both worlds, I think. I'm gonna just play the Cutter. It's likely that this gets dazed, but it uses my mana effectively this turn. If it doesn't get dazed, which I didn't expect, then I could do like a double spell next turn. He's likely to play the Moonshadow, so I can like plow that and also Brainstorm and get a token. Apply some pressure. 2 Moonshadows with a fetch land, okay. So let me think about this. If I fetch and this gets stifled, I look really foolish, but I could Brainstorm first. This gives me the opportunity to find a Force of Will, exactly. Mentor is probably good in the long run against him. K-Command seems a little weak. Although I could just K-Command as my second spell. It plays into Daze. I'm thinking like Shock this, you discard as the modes. I want at least 1 more land, and I think I want it to be the Underground Sea. So 1 Vault can go back. The hymn seems okay. That's the problem with all my cards being just like generically good. I'm gonna have to shuffle. There's no way around it because I need to play another spell this turn to trigger Cutter. If I wanted to be ultra patient, I could just put like 2 cards back and then not crack the fetch and pass, but I think giving up the Cutter value for this turn is pretty bad. So what I want to do is get Tundra and Plow, at least one of these. Or Scrubland, rather. Damn, tough choice. I think Kolaghan's Command is the least valuable of these spells. And then, like I said, I'll have to fetch. If he has Stifle, then I have to fight it. There's simply no way around it. Alright, cool. Zynga, get a Cutter. And I will be swinging with this one, even though it's only a 2-2. He can at most pump this by 1. If he has Street Wraith, I don't think it's super likely that a deck like this plays Street Wraith, right? The Shadow deck did. the Death Shadow deck that plays both Moonshadow and Death Shadow. But if he's more of like the Oculus Stifle Knot, maybe that's just too many slots. Fetch my monk, plow your boy, get on in there. So next turn, again, assuming no disruption, I have him plus flow state. The mentor getting delayed, unfortunately, but if I draw a 1-mana spell, maybe I'll just do mentor plus spell, because Quarry Steel Cutter does not require both spells to be non-creature. I kind of initially thought that, but yeah, you can definitely play a creature and a spell, or 2 creatures. Brainstorm's good for him. My flow state's already online, thanks to the Ponder. This is almost certainly taking flow state, I think. Unless he's really concerned about protecting his hand, he'll take him. Both of them are 2-for-1s, just 1 for me, 1 for him, you know, so... Okay. Ooh, therapy. Alright, altogether that's pretty good. So we're even on like on-board material. My hand is probably better than his. Who can really say? But this Overlord is still coming, and that needs to be dealt with sooner or later. Wow, flashing back to therapy. Guess he's hitting Mentor. So he's going to strain me with Force of Will. Nothing else. I need cantrips off the top or Snapcasters. It's not going to cut it. He didn't know about the Delta, so I didn't want to play that one. But it's likely I'm going to want to play all 5 to hardcast a Force of Will at some point anyway. I could have held for a Brainstorm in the future, but I think this is totally reasonable. Damn, yeah, so he has Oculus here. So he shreds my hand, he gets the Oculus out, the Overlord's on the way. So I'm really taxed on removal now. I need a plow in short order for the Oculus, and then I also need an answer for this Overlord within the next 3 or so turns. His discard spells were quite good there. I could have Force of Willed the initial Inquisition, but that just seems so weak. Giving up my flow state and the Force of Will for what total gain? I did not expect Cabal Therapy, so... Alright, as always, best draw on my deck. I will do it like this. Okay, I like Kolaghan's Command. I'm wondering if this should be my second spell this turn. It plays into Daze. He only has 1 card left, so Daze, Force, Daze, Spell Pierce, both possibilities, even Stifle. So I'm going to take Ponder and K Command. And then, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I can tag the Manifest and hit the last card out of his hand. Or actually get back Mentor and hit the last card in his hand. Yeah. This has to be Badlands. Cutter has impressed me a lot in this league. Obviously, very strong card. This could easily be a Spell Pierce or whatever. Totally cool. I'm going to keep the Monk on defense. It'll trade with the Manifest. That's fine. So I'm going to take 5 in the air down to 7. He has 1 draw, and then this Overlord will become active. So some point next turn, I'm going to go Mentor and hopefully Ponder into a Plow. Well, I only have 1 white source, so maybe that's not going to happen. Ooh, I should have blocked that. I wasn't paying attention. Ouch. Well, either way, that was going to get flipped. He could have flipped it pre-combat, and I still wouldn't have been able to block it, so... Here we are. Okay, he gets another manifest. I'm in trouble. Yep, that doesn't help. I don't know if I actually have an out here. Make a bunch of tokens, but I can't beat the flyer this way. Because I need both plow and white source, which isn't going to happen. Well, there they are, but I can't access both cards this turn, so you got me. So let's say I had blocked this, then he eats my monk, he flips it in combat, he eats my monk, and then so I'm at +7 life, I'm at 9. Next turn, I'm -1 monk, I have the mentor, I ponder into the land, play it. Now I have to double block Moonshadow. So I'm going to have to give up the mentor, you know what I mean? So I don't think that even if I was at a higher life total, this would have changed anything, because well, let's say I can't single block this because of Menace. Yeah, it's interesting. I maybe could have gotten another turn out of it if I'd jumped correctly, but it's all good. Okay, Lockdown, good against everything but the Oculus itself. It's even good against the Oculus tokens, so I think I'm okay with that. As well as Supreme Verdict. Veto. This seems like more of a tempo deck than a control deck, so off that. Definitely Pyroblast. Teferi also seems kind of interesting. It's good against resetting Moonshadows and bouncing Oculus and the tokens and stuff. It's actually not that good against Oculus, but this is in the maybe pile. We'll talk about that. Discard seems decent. As always, I board out my Force of Wills. Although we've had discussions about whether this is correct or not. I'm still thinking both ways here. Kickman, this had its moments, and if the games go long and grindy, I do want this for like the Snapcaster value. But 2 damage is just not enough to kill anything I really care about, is it? So better than 1 cutter. That's my other potential cut here. Or 1 Thoughtseize. I think given that he's a tempo deck and has some very aggressive starts, I'll board out 1 Seize. This reduces my disruption a lot, but I am bringing in a lot of draw the game out cards. We'll see how it goes. Even just K-commanding back a Snapcaster and making him discard is okay, so even if the shock aspect isn't super relevant, it might still be good in the matchup. This is one of the most embarrassing hands I've ever seen. Send that back immediately. And this is much better. I want the Thoughtseize, the Plow. I think these 4 are safe, so it's basically just Ponder, right? Because I need 2 lands. Unfortunately, I can't get both white and red, so this might be a little different that way. I guess I should seize turn 1 while he can't daze me. Dread of Night. I don't think this actually beats Cutter because of state-based actions, right? So I used to be a judge, but it's been a long time. So I think that I make the token and then attach the equipment to it. And even though it's a 0/0 at some point in that process, by the time this actually checks, I'm no longer a 0/0. It's very good against Mentor, though. I think I'm just going to take Inquisition here. If he plays out Dread of Night, that's fine. I at least have knowledge of how it's going to affect the game. Yep, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to Brainstorm first. Even though I want to save this for like a turn 3 Cutter plus Brainstorm, I don't even have a 3rd land yet, so yeah, this is totally okay. Flow State's online, which is awesome. And then I'm going to fetch now, play around Stifle, and So there you go. So obviously best draw would be a third land. I can go Cutter plus Brainstorm. If not, I think I'm just going to Flow State. He's got Force of Will and 2 unknowns that could potentially be blue cards, but whoo, got away with it. Alright, Tundra Pyroblast looks great. Dreadnought makes this a lot more anemic, I'll say that. Because like if I ever move the Cutter to a second one, it's just gonna, the first one's gonna die at the end of that turn. So I have a Void Ren to answer this if needed, but I still think it was better to take the Inquisition because I'm a control deck. Like if he's shutting off one of my potential win conditions or weakening it, then totally cool with that. Interesting for a blind name. Let's see what he hits. Brainstorm is a totally reasonable answer, even though I already used one. Flow State would be okay because they usually find the second one. Force Will. Okay. So he still has Force, Underground Sea, and 2 unknowns. Yeah, okay. So I'm glad that I didn't just misread this understanding. There's also been a lot of rule changes since I last played competitively, so it's possible that something in there had changed, but I felt confident about it. Okay, so extra land is okay. I think I'm keeping this, and I'm going to hide Plow because, first of all, he saw it off the therapy, and then secondly, this is probably the most likely card he would take with a flashback therapy to clear the way for an Oculus or something, so I like protecting that. Get you for one, buddy. The clock don't stop ticking. This might be a second Sewers, yeah. Most decks probably play one Surveil land, but I think because he is a Oculus deck, this is much more reasonable. Also triggers Moonshadow if you happen to mill a thing. Alright, let's see how good my read was. Because if he names Plow, I look like a genius. Ooh, let me just say I still got it, boys. Little victories. I played a lot against Cabal Therapy back in the day. Not only was this just like a popular card from before just like decks just played Cabal Therapy and tried to do it fairly, but then I also played through the Gitaxian Probe era where this card was a lot less skill intensive because you just always knew their hand. Draw the Plow. We lead on Ponder, and I want to do it off the Underground Sea. Triggers Prowess. Another Ponder's totally cool. Spend that because I want to shuffle first. So this is dual purpose. If he stifles this, I Pyroblast back. That's totally cool. If not, I was going to clear the top for the Ponder anyway. So gets another Cutter trigger. I can move it this turn and net a damage, so I will. This goes back down to being a 2/2. It'll die at the end of the turn, but I think this is still acceptable. And Mentor looks pretty embarrassing against that. I think this one's a shuffle. I'm just looking for more flow states, pretty much. Ka-chow, get you for 3. Therapy is pretty interesting for that deck. If he has other discard, it gets a lot better, and it's also, you can feed the Oculus tokens to it. Not going to fight over this. Well, I couldn't anyway. Fire Blast is a little narrow. Probably take Plow, yeah, because that's what he wanted with the first place for the therapy. Maybe this is Oculus this turn, and I would just blast it. Snap Flow State is looking attractive next turn. Yeah. think I'm going to save the Mystic Sanctuary in the deck. I will get Badlands here. Man, Flow State's a hell of a card. I think it's very likely this card gets banned in Legacy in the near future, and I kind of want to play with it while I can. I assume if it gets banned in Legacy, we will also ban it in Heritage. We did deviate from the Legacy ban list in the case of Candelabra, because that was just obviously so moronic of a decision by Wizards of the Coast that it's like hard to defend it, banning Candelabra of Tawnos instead of the One Ring or whatever. But yeah, otherwise I think we stay pretty close to the Legacy ban list, which makes sense. I mean, even if a card is like potentially less threatening in this card pool, it still is just going to attract like a lot of negative publicity, right? It's like, wow, I played against this card for years in Legacy, and then you're trying to sell me on this alternative format, and here it is again, you know. So I don't blame people for that. What's the merit to this? This lets me Mystic Sanctuary, so I'll at least play it out. I probably won't crack it yet, but feeling pretty good. Double Pyroblast, double Snapcaster, K Command. It's like, can't really ask for a better sequence of cards against a mostly blue deck. Still know he has Force of Will in hand, so he had Hardcast Force up that whole turn. I don't even know if I have another. Yeah, I do have another Volcanic. Yeah, keep it up. I could be like Snap Pondering or something to get more Prowess triggers and kind of keep the cards flowing, but I'm totally okay with this holding pattern. He who flow states more, flow states best. That's my philosophy. I will be end step K commanding back the Snap, probably making him discard. Reanimate my Snap. Ooh, you're not gonna like this, buddy. Okay, return a creature, you discard a card. He'll probably hardcast Force, I'll blast. And I have a backup blast in the tank, since I expertly chose to play 2 Volcanic Islands, which is how many I own in paper, so. So making another Cutter token doesn't actually change the clock. I was going to Snapcaster Brainstorm just for Cutter value, but it's actually best to just untap. Void Rend, great draw. When do I want to pick this fight? If I do it now, I get maybe 2 extra damage. Well, if I Void Rend, then I snap anything, then I actually don't have all my blasts up. So again, we just keep poking for 1. We'll do the fight on his end step. It's actually cool that if I make a token and then kill this, that I get to keep the tokens. Is a Delve card? Nope, Moonshadow, okay. He was actually very patient with these fetch lands for potential Moonshadow, but also just waiting on a Brainstorm. That's really how you have to play in Legacy. Okay, I think this is naming Pyroblast almost certainly, so let me do a Snap Brainstormer response. I will equip the Monk, because if I do end up Void Rending this, then I get to keep it into the next turn. You could name Snapcaster Mage as well. I think he's seen like 2 blasts and a Snapcaster, so. Okay, this is the Hardcast Force. That's his last card in hand. So, I mean, there's really no wrong way to do this. I'm just going to Void Rend the Dread Knight, and he'll probably concede. I need a white source for that. Gets me more monks, and then, yeah, you can therapy my Pyros if you want. But I think I'll have enough gas to just cross the finish line here. I only need one trigger. Gives him knowledge about the fact that I have 3 Pyroblasts, I guess, but yeah, also, I don't think I mentioned during my deck tech, but I should be playing 2 Hydroblasts because with prowess things and Cutter, and especially Mentor, sometimes you just need to spew cards with no value. So, okay, hit Snapcaster Mage, but here I'm just going to Pyroblast an Island, which is exactly what I was about to say, is that sometimes just casting these on lands is a good way to go. Get some prowess triggers. Boom. Okay, well, we got a game. And now we have a game 3 to look at. Do I want to change anything? He's much more discard heavy than I thought he would be. Cabal Therapy on top. I don't think that improves the value of Force of Will. If anything, it weakens it. But it does maybe you think something like Veto is not that bad of a choice. Maybe over a K Command. Especially on the draw when my mana might be a little constrained by Daze Wasteland. I'm just happy I got that sweet, Cabal Therapy next level play. I mean, it's like, it's not that genius to think, okay, he'll probably name Plow, so I'll hide the Plow, but it feels good when you do it. Cabal Therapy went from being like one of the highest skill cards in the game to when Probe was printed, it was like, well, this is just heinous, right? It's like a Thoughtseize with flashback at that point because you always hit on the first and second. You never have to like set it up or anything. And with Young Pyromancer, it even replaced the token. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. I did think about Therapy in this deck because I make a lot of tokens. Okay, this is a totally serviceable hand. It's bad against early aggression. I don't have any interaction. But I think since we both take a couple turns to just kind of sculpt, I'm okay with this. I will be pondering turn 1. I know usually I want to hold my cantrips for as long as possible for triggers and such, but I want to improve the relative status of my hand against the tempo deck especially. Jace was not the card I wanted to see, but okay, Season Cutter, both fine. I think I want to do a turn 3 Cutter into Seize, so that's okay. I'll shuffle before the 3rd. He Surveils, totally cool. I don't like how Magical Line cuts my available windows. I wish it would just like keep everything where I put it, but maybe that's too much work for Daybreak games. Having played other card games and their official simulators, yeah, I'm much more thankful for Magic Online than I would have been. Okay, I do want to shuffle away that 3rd land, so here's the thing. Do I want to Brainstorm? Probably not, actually. What if I Thoughtseize now, and then next turn I go Cutter plus Brainstorm? I think that's reasonable. It's better than passing this turn. If I'm not going to Brainstorm, I want to use my mana in some other way. Okay, he's got a Snapcaster, which is decent. I'm going to take the Oculus, though. That card's terrifying. Does grow his shadow. I didn't think about that. This one I think is getting a Tundra. Next turn I'm going to play Badlands Cutter, and I want to have a blue up. Could get Scrubland, but I already have 2 black sources. Okay, this thing grows pretty quick. Already a 4/4. Okay, he played Misty instead of one of the known lands, so that's something to know. He can now pump this if needed. Get the scrub land. I don't think it's a huge important, but if I draw him, maybe I'll want to play that instead of okay, cool. I can cutter plus Thoughtseize. He'll likely push this in response, and maybe even flash the Snapcaster, knowing it was about to be taken. So no, we just let it happen. Take Snapcaster then. So his hand is Island Swamp Snap. Moonshadow grows. Actually, his hand's Island Swamp Push. I misread, but I just kind of figured the push is about to be spent. Okay, so he has effectively one draw because I'm about to Jace next turn, and Jace bouncing this is big game. Imagine if he had like I don't know, some way to give this double strike in black blue. Okay, well, Jace plays into Spell Pierce and Daze, which are both reasonable cards for him to have. So maybe it's Mentor plus Token, and then he would need 2 removal spells to beat that. Actually 3, because I'll get 1 off the cutter as well. Although shit, this thing has Menace, I forgot about that, so. But now I have enough tokens, and there's Void Rend. Oh, can I undo? Wait, you can't undo on Ponder? Never had to, but I guess not. Okay. In that case, I think I will shuffle. Well, I can always brainstorm into that next turn. How relevant is this? I'm thinking too much about it. We'll just shuffle. Next turn is Jace. Even if he has a removal spell, I get to double block with the others just to buy a turn and then Jace bounce it. If I get to Jace behind the tokens, then I feel amazing. He has 2 unknowns. Could be Hardcast Force. If it is Hardcast Force, I'm still in the same position where I'm just jumping with, wow. Great news for me. Really popping off with these mentors. In the early games, I think I mentioned in one of the videos that for naming my deck Mentor, I actually wasn't drawing Monastery Mentor very often. But here I am, and it's been amazing the last couple matches. Actually, I have a kill next turn if I can find another spell, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then yeah, if I find one more spell, I think I'm good. This Oculus. Okay, I know I have a fetch on top, so I want to shuffle that away. Can actually get a spell. Mystic Sanctuary. Ponder on top, and then Brainstorm into it. Ensures the cutter's going to trigger and all the mentor action. I'm delaying the option with the Jace because I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to bounce the Oculus, but if I can force through a plow or something, then it's great. Don't need a second mentor. I'll him his last card. Ooh, that was a misplay. What I should have done is bounce Oculus and then him his last 2 cards. to deal with it permanently. I think this might still just be good enough, though. Triggers all those. So I still have 3 blockers. If he can manifest this into a shadow, so I guess I should keep 1 back. Well, let's think. Yeah, he just gave it up. I'm not good with combat math. I'll be the first to admit it. Yeah. But I think that, yeah, even if he blocked 2 of them, then I think I was still pushing through. Yeah, 4, 8. Yeah. Okay, I couldn't finish my message. Magic Online, like, closes the windows too quickly, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm very happy with the performance of the deck. I started off 0-3, which is a little discouraging, but quite frankly, I didn't give that much of a shit because I was just here to, like, explore a deck archetype and play a format I hadn't played before. So results were the least important thing in my mind. However, I was pretty pleased with how it went, and I ended up 4-3 overall. So I spoke in the last video about how my sideboard configuration was not correct for this league, but again, into a broad format at large, I think this is totally acceptable. I don't think anyone was playing an Atraxa deck, and that's, you know, just a choice that people make, but Atraxa Show and Tell, Reanimator, or Natural Order are all very viable ways to go, and that card is just way above the power level of any other fatty. So I think, you know, if there is another league, I might actually play like some sort of Natural Order, like Bug Atraxa myself, just because I like blue mid-rangey crap. But yeah, let me just talk a little bit about how much I've enjoyed playing a format and not having to cringe every time I see something on the opponent's side of the table. Because, man, I am like the biggest UB hater. I'm also the biggest Modern Horizons hater. I actually was a huge fan of the first Modern Horizons when it came out. I love, you know, cards like Ren and 6. I love, you know, a lot that those card sets did was good for formats, but they set a precedent that was just terrible. And, you know, if it's one of those time machine jokes, if I had a time machine, I would go back to before they printed Modern Horizons and, you know, stop them at all costs. I think that was truly what killed the game of Magic. Those supplemental sets being legal in Eternal formats, and yeah, Heritage is just a great idea. I mean, I lose some cards that I would be happy to play with, right? Prismatic Ending, especially Baleful Strix, my homie. But simply removing the supplemental sets in Universes Beyond already has improved the quality of the games by about 1,000-fold. I think that every match I played, even the ones where I got completely dumpstered, were way more interesting than anything that current Magic can come up with, right? When my opponent plays a Nimble Mongoose, I have several turns to come up with an answer. When my opponent plays a Tameo, I need to answer it immediately or else I'm falling behind turn after turn after turn. Or a Ragavan, or, you know, a Bowmaster with no counterplay to punish it. So, yeah, there are cards that I miss from supplemental sets for sure, but I'm really happy with the way the format shook out. I'm really happy with the fact that most people in the league decided to play interactive decks. My one prediction from the deck tech that turned out not true was I didn't think too many people would play tempo. I ended up playing against, you know, 2.5 tempo decks. And that's totally fine. I mean, people love Legacy for playing Brainstorm, Daze, Ponder, Wasteland, Force of Will, you know, so that's a totally reasonable decision. The cards I was most impressed with, obviously the Cutter. This is my first time playing with this card. Slots into the deck perfectly. It was a great supplemental threat to the Mentor. Honestly, you could maybe go 4 Cutter, 2 Mentor, because this card I was happy to see in multiples, whereas this one I pretty much never wanted more than one. The card I was least impressed with, sadly, was Kolaghan's Command. I didn't play against any artifacts. There were a couple cool plays. Getting that Snapcaster back in response to his Reanimate was beyond dope. But yeah, this was not a card I was happy to see in my hand most games, primarily just because it costs 3. And let's be honest, even if this format's slower and more interactive than Legacy, playing 3 drops is risky business. So anyway, super happy to have played these matches against the league, and big thanks to all of my opponents who were gracious and cool to play against, and especially happy with me recording their matches, because I asked everybody if they were cool with it, and they said they were. They gave consent, so happy to see that. I'm not sure if I will make the elimination rounds. Probably not, because I started off 0-3. I don't know how he's calculating that. But if there are a top 4, then I will record that for you. But if not, this is it for this Heritage League. We will probably be having another one next month, I assume, and I will play a different deck for that. And I'm really interested in getting the format going. I've already built a deck in paper. I hope that you guys do as well. If you're also kind of disillusioned and sick of what modern Magic has become, this is a good middle ground, because pre-modern is cool, not going to knock it. Old school, all those formats are awesome, but this preserves what I love about Magic, which is the intricate games of Legacy, and also the fact that a new card can pop up and be cool. You know, this card's overpowered as hell, of course, but it's a new card and it shakes things up a little bit. A closed format will eventually be solved, whereas a format that gets new cards will get some new blood every now and then. So, big fan of Heritage. Shout out to everybody in the Discord. I have a link in the description of the videos to the Discord and also to my deck list. So, thank you all for joining.